I invite you to ask both introductory questions that might sound like as basic as one can think of, and also advanced if you want. We have people that have deep knowledge in objectivism. And so I'll leave it to you. And as I said, we might be cut off by the transmission of the interview. So let's go, and we'll go one by one. Just do me a favor, raise your hand, I got you, and I'll take you by the order that you raised your hand, and we'll go one by one. So we'll start with the guy there, Shalev. Yeah. ואחרי זה נועם. And please, I have a request. Please keep your questions short, okay? Because, don't argue back, because, again, it's a one thing we can argue later on, but please just ask the question with a question mark.
אני אשאל בעברית, אם לא אכפת לך.
Please, in English, if you can.
English? So I'll try.
Try.
So we talked a lot. This is objectivism. That's the reason we're all here. But it's been some of the talks were about different subjects, in my opinion. They felt more מדיניים,
political,
not necessarily in a social sense, but in about Gaza. That's the main subject of some of the previous talks.
Right.
I feel like there's a jump from the conclusions of objectivism and talking about all that, about self-interest and freedom, to how we need to handle the situation in Gaza.
Right.
It's a much bigger subject. No, okay, not necessarily bigger.
What's the question?
I think that connection is very wrong.
Okay.
It's a big subject that if you want to talk about, we can, but it's not relevant for here. Okay. I want to talk about objectivism and learn about all that.
So what is the question?
Why do we keep making that connection?
Why?
I haven't answered the non-question.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, but seriously, you said something important, that objectivism is about the philosophy. And then the question is, what is philosophy? Philosophy is something that doesn't tell you, it gives you some guidance on how to deal with life, how to navigate life. A war is one of the most crucial things that can happen in life, because it can literally end your life. So if you have a philosophy that doesn't give you some guidance or some orientation on how to deal with a situation of war and how to apply morality to that, then it's not a good philosophy. So obviously, I mean, personally, I'm here, and what animates me is that for 2 years, you've been fighting the most important war of humanity since at least the Cold War. So unapologetically, I will talk about war, because this is an excellent case study on how this philosophy can give answers to real questions of life. So this is why I think it's absolutely spot on regarding the philosophy to talk about war.
I would like to add a little addition to that, is that this war and the beginning of the war actually radicalize the situation in a way that you can understand what is the outcome of every stand. When you have no war, you have no conflict, everything is calm and nobody is rocking the boat, you don't really know where people stand when they are facing the challenge of making a moral decision, a practical decision, and so on. So I would say, contrary to the argument of not dealing with the war, I think that the war gives us a wonderful, so-called, but a test case of what the position of every side leading to.
I want to support you. And I'll say what I mean by that. Most of the people out there in the street, if you ask them about politics, boom, they're engaged, right? If I went to the streets, like, do you know what happiness is? Do you know, what is the nature of the universe? How do you know what's true? What's the nature of truth? I'm like, what are you talking about, right? So we did think about, if we wanted to attract people who don't know what objectivism is, but you need to connect with them on something that really animates them, you start with politics, because it's in your face, right? Now, the reason why I want to support you, that in order to get to what is the right foreign policy, what do you call it? War policy? I don't know. Military strategy. What is the military strategy that a nation should apply that is just and rational? I can think about 100 questions that come before that, right? And he was like, why are you going to the 100th questions? What about question number 1 and number 2 and number 3? Now, I'm saying what I found about philosophy, yeah, it answers a ton of questions. And what animates each and every one of us in philosophy is something a little different. I mean, I hear, conversations about metaphysics, with all due respect, Aaron, don't listen. It's like, it's not that interesting to me. I mean, I understand, let the physicists, what they do, and let the metaphysicists do what they do. I'm more interested in psychology, or what morality, in psychology, the intersection. So it's interesting that you can come at philosophy from different, directions, not necessarily from let's start from reality. Then let's talk about epistemology. Let's only then talk to me about moral. It doesn't work this way, right? I don't know if you agree with that, but what I agree with you is like, why do you start with one of the most complicated issues, which is politics, which assumes that you know what the morality is, which assumes that you know what epistemology is, which assumes that you know what metaphysics is. And so you're right in the sense that there's a hierarchy there. So I appreciate. Now we'll give it to Nahum. Okay, so they will answer. I will repeat your question. Okay, but please, short and a question mark.
Okay, so before the break, there was 5 people spoke about their experience with Ayn Rand and the way it influenced their life, and they were all guys, and you're also all guys, and she was a woman. So I came to not the conclusion, but it's a little bit weird for me. Is all this Ayn Rand experience stuff is something that is designed for men?
We should have Ayn Rand up here. Yeah.
No,
We
you.
should cancel the event now.
It's a serious question.
No, so
Especially, I want
do
to ask
find-
Nikos because of the
What
two
is the
tribes
question,
he
though?
spoke
No.
about, related to guys and girls in the sense of the Ayn Rand experience. I think you understand what I mean.
Let's answer the question: is objectivism for male?
Only for males. No, but I'm being. Yeah. So the question. So, do I find just empirically more males, just in my own circles and experience, studying with us, interested? I do find the numbers are more males than females, but we have plenty of females studying with us at ARI, plenty of women at our conferences. It's not like, I don't know exactly. So in the philosophy, there's nothing in the philosophy that's sort of gender, like it has to be for men or it has to be for women. It's universal. This is for human beings as such, for sure. I don't know what you would make of it. I don't know the gender distribution here, but I don't even know what you would do with that. Suppose it's 30% women, 70% men. What are you going to do with that? I don't know. It's all for men. It's like, no, this doesn't work that way.
I just want to add that she had a lot of views that you're welcome to read about femininity and masculinity and their nature. It's more a psychological issue than a philosophical issue, but she has a lot to say about that. So,
and it's like, she's a woman. Objectivism can only be for men. Should I design this for men? No, she's a woman. She's a unique woman. But yeah.
Very quickly, the only way that the philosophy could apply only to men or only to women is if men and women had a different way of knowing the world, if they had a different compass, a different navigation instrument. But since men and women have the same basic navigation instrument, then it goes without saying the philosophy applies to both. Now, there are differences in psychology, but she was not a psychologist. She was basically telling you, this is the type of world you live in. The world makes sense. We can understand and know the world. This applies to men and women. We can be happy in this world. This applies to men and women. And this is what your basic purpose should be on life. Create things, make sure that you sustain your life and make this life a good life. The same thing applies to men and women. Now, how you find sexual pleasure and all that stuff, these things are different between men and women. But even between men, for example, I enjoy basketball. Aaron does not enjoy basketball. So what should we say then? Objectivism is only for Aaron because Ayn Rand doesn't talk about basketball. So the point is that when it comes to the very basic questions, the very big questions, her philosophy applies to every human being that can use their mind and understand the world and try to live a good life.
I'd like to add a layer to it. Ayn Rand should have been celebrated by the feminist movements all over the world. If you consider the fact that during the 40s and the 50s, she portrayed women as managers, as engineers. If you're reading about Kira, her dream is to build bridges. It was the most feminist among a society that consider women as only suitable to be a secretary. So, and she wrote that the fact that this kind of people exist in her book also present the fact that they can be in reality. Now, the answer to the question, there is a gap. There is, if you check in the statistics right now, you can check it on your own Brook YouTube channel, More Men Than Women. On the Israeli liberal movement Facebook, 25% women, 75% men. You can find it, but this is cultural, and we aim to change the culture. So I hope we'll have, based on merit, more women among us on this stage in one of the next conferences.
I just realized last time I checked, my YouTube channel is 95.5. So it's even worse than that. So I wonder what I'm doing wrong.
My channel's all women.
Okay, next question. We had Eyal. Eyal was the next one, and then we'll go to you, Amir.
What do you think about the subject of sociology and the current and the current state of it?
I was, for two reasons, super proud for working for the Ayn Rand Institute. Number one, the obvious reason, I work for the Ayn Rand Institute. The second reason, I didn't anymore have the title sociology in my work. So potentially it could be a very legitimate science. Hayek called himself a sociologist, Mises called himself a sociologist. The way it is taught today, it is a pseudoscience, and it is a science that is poisoning brains. The reason so many people with kefiyas in the West celebrate Hamas, big part of this has to do with the poison that they are taught in social science, and a big part of this poison is unfortunately sociology. Like, you know how some people, they work, like, what's the proper way to put it? They're like sex workers, but they ask them what type of job you do. They say, I run a massage parlor. When people were asking me what discipline you teach, I didn't want to say sociology, so I tell the social sciences.
Got to get that science in there. Yeah.
Okay, now we have someone here. Yeah. Yeah. Short.
Yes. What is the selfish case for love?
Oh, I love that question. What is love? I think one of the things that I remember reading Atlas Shrugged for the first time that struck me was this idea of love as an exchange of virtues. And she's describing it as an exchange between two people where the currency is not money, but the currency is virtue. And I found that so radical. And in a way, finally, somebody explains to me what I feel in words that I can understand. Before that, it was vague. It was completely emotive. I thought that love is not in the realm of words and concepts. It's just something you feel. I saw my wife for the first time. I loved her on first sight. I love this woman. No reason why. Let's go, right? And that's how a lot of people think of love. It's like, oh, I chose him. I chose her. We seem to match. She likes what I like what she likes. We love each other. I find him attractive. I find her attractive. Yeah, let's have a family, and then done forever, right? That's a shallow, shallow view of love. Love is a celebration. Love is the manifestation of your self-esteem, of who you are, the reward for the journey you make, the rigorous, process that you go through in order to do the things, your heroic journey, You celebrate yourself through your mind and body. And romantic love for me is, again, something very misunderstood in our culture, both in the religious sides that completely try to destroy, but also on the other sides, the secular sides that kind of look at the animalistic part of it and so on. The essence of it, I see love as a celebration. And if you ask me what is the case for it, the case for it is like, why do you even live? I mean, there was a question I got at the break. It's like, why do we need emotion? I mean, let's use our reason and go all with reason. Like, reason for what? Reasons toward an emotion, right? Which is happiness. So there's the mind-body dichotomy that pervades most of our culture, that tries to separate our mind from our body. If you think about Christianity, they're really bad about it. In Judaism, it's a little better. But, okay, you got the body, it's lower, it's inferior, and you got the mind. It's higher, it's noble. Everything that has to do with the body, yuck. Everything that has to do with the, na'or, right? And this creates such horror of the lost opportunity of experiencing mind-body integration, where you feel like one. My body and my mind, the way I think and the way I have sex, everything is one. And it's a celebration of both. So if there's something really amazing about Rand's novels, is the expression of love. And philosophy gives you the tools to work towards being worthy of love and also how to experience it. So I got a lot to say about it, but if you want to add.
I'll say only a tiny little bit, and this isn't to derogate the question at all, but I find the question weird. Like, what's the selfish case for pleasure? You ever experienced pleasure? Feels pretty good. Like what's the selfish case for it? Well, like there's a deduction and there's 5 premises, and I that's why I don't understand. Like, if one is, yeah, please do.
Ayn Rand was, I believe, on Mike Wallace's show. And Ayn Rand, I believe, was on Mike Wallace's show a long time ago, and she made a case that she loves her partner selfishly, that it's not altruistic. And he couldn't wrap his mind around it. So I wanted to know, why is the selfish case for love a good case?
Well, the altruistic case is impossible. So there's no such thing as altruistic love. If what you're doing is altruism, it ain't love, and you don't know what love is yet. So, and you haven't experienced it. So if the idea is, I mean, she says, look, in that interview, that 1959 interview, if you haven't seen that, she's on fire on it. That's really good. But he says, shouldn't love be selfless, Ayn? And she said, well, that doesn't even make any sense. Let me concretize that. I love you, but you don't matter to me, and I'm just doing this for your benefit, but I don't get anything out of it. I'm just being selfless, but I love you. Like, it doesn't mean anything at all. You could take actions towards somebody, such as the kinds of actions that somebody in love would take, but that's not love. So it's a kind of, he said, it's a contradiction in terms. Selfless love, yeah. Enjoymentless pleasure. It's like, yeah.
Okay.
Here. Hi. Yeah, of course. Hi. Aaron, the question is for you. You mentioned before the situation where Hamas wins both ways when they hide under hospitals, say. However, we have the example from the war with Iran when they attacked an Israeli hospital, which was even a clearer case because no one was hiding underneath it, where Israel didn't gain anything from it, which I argue kind of challenges your theory. I say that actually what it relates to is, again, my typical theme is Jew hatred. I don't think that if you're trying to find any other other causes for that, you're going to find them. So I would like to hear what you're saying.
I don't really understand what that related to something that I said, but when you said the Iranians, when they bombed an Israeli hospital, like they didn't get anything out of it. Well, they killed Jews. Maybe I misunderstood the question.
The Israelis couldn't claim anything that they hurt our hospitals. But what was which I think
Maybe I just
maybe.
I
So
didn't
I get
the
the if you listen to what Nikos said in the first conversation, if you understand the core reason of why we're hated, has nothing to do with they're hiding the hospitals and they're behind this and they're behind that. The world hates you for who you are. It doesn't matter what you do. You are strong and successful. By the way, I don't know if you know history, and you'll correct me if I'm getting this a little wrong, but the Europeans liked us before 67, right? Yeah. They gave us weapons. They
came all over the world to join the kibbutzim, to volunteer. It was the ideal lifestyle. We were weak, socialist, and under a threat of destruction.
Yeah, all the good.
So all the goodies, you know. So.
And then this little weak, meek socialist country wins the war decisively and then does it again, right? And like, hey, they're not so weak. So you tell me how the hospitals and all the hasbara and all the things that are happening are just not getting to the point. And I tell that to my Israeli friends. It's like, forget all of the, trying to explain your case. Forget it. It's a lost cause. Now pay attention to what happened in the world when we attacked Iran. It was a silence, like, hey, wow, those guys mean it? If Israel, I think, Aaron, you said, if Israel went all the way to say, screw you guys, we're going to win decisively, watch us do it, they will silence. There will be nothing. You will actually get more support if you stop thinking about what the Americans think, and you do what you do, but you do it all the way. What's so frustrating to me is you got all the way to Tehran. Now flip them over. Let the 90% miserable, population under them that is sitting under this 10% of, government tyranny, ayatollahs, just help them flip it over, because you'll do that in Gaza, for God's sake. Just finish the job. What did the Americans do in Japan and Germany? Why was that? I don't know if it's the last just war. And you can think about any just war thing since then. Maybe the Israelis, but
Well, it was a total war.
it's the last total war, right?
Yeah, it was a total war, and it was a total victory, devastating the enemy's will to fight forever. And we occupied them for a bit, installed a government, built a new government for them, and now they're our allies.
And I didn't read the new book that was just came out, but I can assume what it's saying. It's saying that you are fighting an idea, not just fighting an army. The Hamas is an idea. Nazism is an idea. Japanese Shintoism is an idea. What you have to do is to crush the idea. What does it mean to crush an idea? You don't just go to the Hamas and kill them, and it's the point where they say enough. We don't want to believe in what we believe anymore. We will take whatever you have to give us. And then you come in, and then you train them, and you educate them to say, now you're going to live like us. Like MacArthur did in Japan. It's like, here is a constitution, guys. Forget what you thought you're going to do, right? You're not going to occupy the world. Here's what you're going to do. I'm going to stay here for, how long did it stay? 6 years? And only when you show me that you are starting to think like us, then I will leave you alone. Okay, this is how you win a war. That's when you leave Gaza. When Gaza starts to look like Arab Israelis, right? Where they start to assimilate, where they go back to what I experienced in Gaza in the 70s, which is assimilation. We want to be like you guys. I don't want to be a Hamas warrior. I want to be a, rokeach be-superfarm. Okay, so anyway, that gives you an idea of what it means to win.
I'd like to recommend an article by Dr. Yaron Brook and Alex Epstein about the just war theory and American self-interest. You can find it translated to Hebrew on Anochi website. If somebody want to find it, send me a WhatsApp, I'll send you the link. And he's talking about the war and the just war that been conducted during the Second World War and the mistake we are doing now. And I should tell you that any war that was not finished with decisive victory will come back to bite you in a place you didn't expect to. And I can say it also the Second World War. Third of Europe been subjugated by the Russian Empire. This was the, I would say, the rotten fruit of the Second World War, of tying forces and alliance with the Russian. And it's come back to us. It's come back to us through anti-Semitism that was propagated from Russia for many years and coming back to us now. It's coming back in the Cold War and so on. And if we will not conclude the work with Iran, the war with Iran or with Gaza or with the Muslim Brotherhood, and we'll take half measures, we will have to face it again. This was the eternal curse that we were being into for many years. Internal, okay, the eternal, I wouldn't call it a war because you don't kill each other. You don't explode each other. You don't send a suicide bomber to kill the Meretz, meeting to kill people there. So the point is that in a civilized culture, you conduct your disagreement by discussion, by argument, and this is exactly what we have to bring to the table. The right argument in order to apply the right policy in order to decide how we will conduct. And it's happening. Reality have something to do with the fact that it's happening because you can see the balance between left and right in Israel. I think you will not hear the cries that you heard from Shalom Achshav, let's give the Arab another country and then there will be peace. Nobody is illusional to do that right now. So there is development, and this is the solution for the eternal conflict, disagreement, not war.
I want to add something on that, please. Wait.
Yeah.
Thank you all for trying to preserve or get Western, the way the West is going. Thank you. Everyone here is served in the eye.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I want to add a little thing. When there is a disagreement in a civilized society, and I want to add on Boaz, once violence starts, you call the police, right? Like you engage with ideas, you talk, you try to convey. Once there is coercion, once somebody is trying to force you to surrender to his ideas and he's using force, you call the police, right? You call the state to protect you. And this is true with war. You can have intellectual debate with neighbors. Once your neighbors decide to use force against you and act against you, this is now a matter of the army. It's now time to defend yourself, to act in self-defense, to protect our rights. That's how right works. You enjoy your rights until you break this principle. Once somebody else breaks this principle of right, he does not enjoy, he forfeits his defenses. So there is no room for violence if you know neither of the sides is willing and interested to use violence. But once you see one party uses violence, this party, it is justified to use force against this party to stop it, and that's the role of the state.
I want to add one more thing that I hear a lot in Israel, which is achdut, like unity, right? Like we're not united. We need to be more united. It's the inner wars that kill us. And I'm asking, what is the premise of someone says, no, we all need to unite? What is your vision? Let's say you had it your way, right? And Israel is a paradise. What does it mean? In my vision of a country, when things are perfect, people disagree about everything. There's a constitution that protects us. Nobody can use violence against each other. And you're welcome to disagree about everything. That means that we don't need to be united. You can think whatever you want, and everybody needs to do what. But eventually, that's it. So I don't think that unity, like ביחד ננצח, אנחנו, כולם ביחד. No. Everybody to himself under a constitution that protects all of us against violence. Once violence starts, words are out, right? So talk as much as you want, tell them they're wrong, they'll tell you you're wrong, and keep it that way. And I like less unity. I don't like too much unity. It's scary.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me add one more thing to that. But there is such a thing as getting to the point in a country, in a culture, where you no longer have the shared values that that culture depends on, relies on for its continued existence. You know, that expression, you know, Americans know this, but after the Constitutional Convention, when the United States was formed, this might be an anecdote, it's not true, but it's told many times, it's legendary, that Benjamin Franklin, one of the major founders of the United States, walked out after they had decided on a constitution, and somebody asked her, Mr. Franklin, what form of government did you give us? And he says, a republic, ma'am, if you can keep it. And it was like, but there is such a thing as if you can keep it. And part of the if you can keep it is, does your culture still have the shared fundamental values, whatever the disagreements? And one of those shared fundamental values is we can disagree heatedly. I can denounce you morally, and you me, and we don't talk to each other ever again. But one of those shared values is, but we don't resort to force. You know, and that's just one of them. But there are other ones. A nation can fall apart, and then you won't want that government anymore that protects rights and protects our ability to disagree peacefully. And then at some point, it's let's get our guy in there to shove the other people around. And then the other side's thinking the same thing. So there is such a thing as a dissolution. But I think I'm very wary of the unity. I think it's usually a bad motive when I hear that in politics. But there is such a thing. There's an essay that Ayn Rand wrote called A Nation's Unity. And she deals with this question of like, what does it mean for national unity? Unity around what? That matters. So there's, it's good. It's a good topic.
Any other questions? Yes, Shani. Shani.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. We got one more here. Yeah.
So I understand why objectivism supports secularism,
Yep.
and opposes religion, since it often functions as a means of control. However, there are also forms of spirituality outside of religion that place the individual at the center and do not demand self-sacrifice. So my question is whether you think such spiritual approaches will be acceptable within Rand's framework, or whether any form of spirituality is invalid because it's not empirically provable.
Well, it depends what you mean spirituality. That term covers a wide array of things. Everything from, Ayn Rand uses the term spiritual all the time. She talks about spiritual values. This is the spiritual meaning of something. And by that, she means typically things that relate to your values, things that relate to consciousness and your values. And so the notion of spirituality covers everything from bizarre, irrational mysticism to life coaches that help you find meaning in life and things like that. So it's legitimate things. And so it depends what you mean spirituality. If it's something like supernatural or something, there isn't it. Yeah, go ahead.
In anything bigger than mankind and its values, like
but again, bigger is a bit of a package deal. So it's like big. Do you mean supernatural or not? Because that's relevant. Because like Mike Tyson is bigger than me. So,
you can answer like both versions.
I'll answer this way. If you mean bigger. So here's one thing. Yeah. So you know that you hear people say, you should work for something bigger than yourself. In general, I think that's a bad thing, but it's a blending of something legitimate with something that's illegitimate. Because I think when they say you should live for something bigger than yourself, it usually means live for something more important than yourself. In other words, subordinate yourself to some other thing that's allegedly higher, and I think that's a very bad advice. But often, what is conveyed by that live for something bigger than yourself, and that is legitimate. It's often meant live for more abstract values. There are more abstract values. We had this discussion about justice thing. I care about justice. I care about rights. And not just, it's just my rights. And if it's his rights gets violated, I don't know, that's his life, I don't care, I don't know. No, this stuff matters to me. Like the true and the just matter to me. The true and the good matter to me. There are values that are wider than me, but they're also my personal values, but they're wider than me. So there is something like, there's something to it, but it's wrong. But the issue about spirituality, I mean, from objectivism's perspective is, there is no such thing as the supernatural. And there's no argument for the supernatural. And there's no means by which you could argue from the natural to the supernatural. There's no bridge. Because the supernatural in the end, I mean, from objectivism's perspective it's that which is beyond identity and causality. It's the supernatural has an epistemological problem. It's inherently unknowable. So if you said, this is standard stuff. If it weren't for a God, how did all this stuff get here? And I said, well, what do you think? I say, well, God did it. I said, you're no further along. I said, how did God do it? Well, he did it by divine means. What do you mean divine? Like what? So what were those? Tell me about those. That's interesting. Well, it's God. It's like so it reduces to a magic being did it by magic, or if that sounds too flippant, an unknowable being did it by unknowable means. That's your explanation. That's supposed to be a stand-in for scientific understanding. It's like you got nothing. Like the supernatural. There's no way to get to it. It's inherently unintelligible and unknowable by its nature. If it was, it'd be natural. Like if there was some distant planet and it was really hard to find, and then you find it, like that's fine. But if it's that which is beyond man's capacity to understand, that's what I believe in. You don't believe in anything. There's no content to that except imagination. So there's a kind of issue with the whole realm of the supernatural. Yeah.
Quick point. So there's a
help. When I think of supernatural, I think that like there are things that in the past we couldn't explain, and now we can because we have new technology and maybe there are things that now we can't explain because we don't have the means, the technology, and it seems like supernatural to us, and we talk about it as it. Yeah, and maybe in like 50 years, it will be like something that we can explain. So this is the bridge that I find between the natural and supernatural.
But that's not a bridge.
Yeah, but can you give me an example of something you don't know that you need to?
Yes, but I think that most of the people here are not gonna like the answer.
No, let's go.
Astrology.
Astrology. Let's go. Well, what do you
I
think we don't
used
understand?
to be a big hater, and then I found like I guess it seems more logical to me right now, but I can't explain it. I just.
But did it help you understand something you didn't understand before?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, many things.
Give me the exact thing it helped you understand.
What did it help me understand? People like their a lot of their experiences. My experiences.
I am Libra. I'm Libra.
I'm an Aquarius.
What do you know?
No, I'm not gonna defend astrology.
No,
just an
I'm-
example.
I want to concretize.
I'm not sure myself.
Yeah, but I'm going to concretize because we either think can we agree that it's either knowledge on which you can act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rationally and get to good results, right? Or it's just fake. We're just imagining things like kids, we might. So the question is, let's say that you know that I'm Libra, okay?
Yeah.
And I was born on 14th of October, whatever. Did you ever see a proof that you can know something about someone from their birthday?
So that's the thing. I don't have proofs like the kind of proofs that are
Tangible or?
Yeah, but I have a lot of experiences that just it seems like there is an order here, but
It seems like there's
I
an
don't
order.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
but it just
yeah.
it's a good example, in my opinion, of things that a lot of people believe in it. They claim that there is some logic kind of behind it.
Some kind of logic, maybe, right?
Let me.
But you
just close this up.
can't really
Yeah.
prove it. So
I get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me just close this up.
maybe,
So-
but maybe in 50 years.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
so
know.
Maybe not.
there are three things there. Like one, it's you said that the bridge is there was stuff that we didn't understand, and then now we know more, and now we understand, and we keep progress. That's not a bridge to the supernatural. That's the continual bridge from the known to making the unknown known. So that's a movement from knowledge to knowledge to knowledge to knowledge to knowledge. That's not a bridge to the supernatural. That's how you explain what people thought was before. You shrink it, the realm of what was previously thought that way. Second, it's important to take seriously the thing that's like Tal was saying, or I'm an Aquarius, and then and if you say, well, I think maybe you're more like this and that, but if you say, what's the connection between my birthday and the fact that I like sushi, or whatever it is, and it's like, there's no way you're going to establish any kind of causal connection, and you don't have any. So it's important to say when you say, I don't know, it's like, yeah, you don't know. And yet you're believing, but I don't know. And then the other thing is, the last thing is, the other thing was this, is, and Ayn Rand has a philosophic perspective on this one. It's, well, you know how we didn't understand this and now we do. We didn't understand this and now we do. What if, for the kind of, you're a Libra and so you like, I don't know, pasta. It's, well, we don't understand that now, and I don't have any case for that now, so I'm a little not in a really position to explain that. But maybe someday, this is just arbitrary. It's just maybe someday, I'll turn into Hegel or a bagel, and it's like, well, maybe. It's like, well, yeah, but maybe no. There's no evidence for that. It's just so it's. I'm not going after you. I think this is. I have a lot of interest in the issue of reason, faith, religion, what it means to think of something as true, what it means to think of something as possible or validated or even probable. I mean, I think that's all relevant to how you think about how you populate your mind with ideas. And so I'm animated by that. It's not, yeah.
Just very quick comment. So you asked the question, is this okay with objectivism? And I think the biggest issue is not whether it's okay with objectivism, because there is no higher court of objectivism which will punish you. The most important question is this something which is good for my life? And not specifically on astrology, but for example, on suddenly thinking that tomorrow something be supernaturally changed. Like if I worry, for example, that my girlfriend tomorrow is going to turn to Stalin and kill me, and I say maybe, but who can prove to me that this is not going to happen, right? This is not a good attitude for my life. It's going to poison my life. So the most important question is not, is this compatible with objectivism? Because that's a secondary question. It's interesting for us here, but it's not so important for the life out there. The most important question is this a good way to go through life? To judge, for example, someone not based on their character, but based on things that, there is no one can persuade me and there is no proof that this makes sense.
We have Shani. Shani wanted to ask a question.
No,
Shelly or Shani?
Shelly.
I saw Shani, sorry.
That's okay.
It was
that's
Shani.
Okay.
Shelly, sorry.
No, that's okay. I want to bring us back to the subject of the hostages. So, Tal, you said that you think, all the steel with the yellow ribbon, that it's emotionalism and it's a tool of the left. But then Nikos, you added a little comment and you said that you found a lot of inspiration in it, and that not in specifically the movement.
Yeah, the onus is on me to be more specific. I don't think that bringing back the hostages is a bad thing. I think it's an important thing. The whole thing about not leaving a soldier behind was always something that we were taught, and I appreciate that, because I know that if I'm going to be left behind, my teammates are going to do everything in their power, rationally, without sacrificing their lives and all killing them for me, to try to come and bring me. So let me make a nuance. I didn't say that it's bad to try to get them back alive. It's just, if you think about the mentality of the left, it had to find some kind of anchor to hold their emotional baggage on and say, okay, how can I evade reality again? Right? Because what they do is they evade reality. It's a methodology of evading reality. So no, those people on the other side, we're going to send them balloons, pretty balloons, and everything will be okay. You'll see. And then they come and murder and rape you, right? So like, oh, that didn't work. Where can I take my emotionalism and hang my bag? Where's the hook I can make? And in a way, if you see what's going on, I think it's a psychological, epistemological issue, which is I have to divert my attention from what actually is going on, which is hard to figure out, to something emotional. So they choose the most emotional thing they can hold on to, and they hand their back on it. And it was the hostages. So if you think about Haaretz, if you think about all the left, and they washed Israel. I don't know if when I visited her here after the army, I was shocked. Israel was covered with yellow. It couldn't, every bridge, everything's like, it's not, we'll never win the war until the last hostage comes back. What is that stupid sentence? We'll never win the war until, what does that have to do with winning the war, with bringing what does that have to do with anything? Like, so I say nothing about the compassion about the families who are suffering, not to mention the suffrage of the hostages themselves. But what are we talking about? We're talking about people coming and killing people, and we need to end that, right? And the problem we have is that either we're going to be serious about it and end this war once and for all, or act like 4-year-olds, right? And in a way, the left is, to me, is like a bunch of 4-year-olds who want to emote and scream rather than think. And sometimes the truth is hard. What if I told you that there was no way to win the war without an aerial attack that's going to demolish most of Gaza, including the hostages in it, to save the lives of tens of thousands of people in the future? And I could prove to you that if we don't finish the war, tens of thousands will you do it? And those are your only two choices. Sometimes those are more hard moral choices that were brought to here, to existence, because of the stupidity of other people that didn't end the war in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and all of the kicking the can down the road, which is exactly what we're doing again right now. Why? Because of that kind of thinking. So I, with all due respect and empathy and all of that, which I do have, still, reason is king, in the sense that you either think about reality of what's going on and you deal with it with all the empathy in the world, or you don't.
Didn't let you finish the question though, and this was on me, sorry. So did you have something else, or did Tal cover you?
So I wanted to hear more from Tal, but I also wanted to hear more from you on that subject, because you said, like, I'm not going to add on it right now. So
No, Tal covered me. It's just that I liked how this became a symbol, at least in Europe, that it wasn't just about, oh, bring the hostages, no question why. It was, I stand with Israel, basically. It became bigger. It became a symbol which was bigger than maybe what it meant for you that you saw it every day. For me, again, I said it yesterday, the yellow thing, it was the only kind of virtue signaling which was actually virtue signaling in both types of the world. Not only you signal to the world, this is what I stand for, but what you stand for was actually virtues. When I saw someone in Europe wearing this, I wanted to hug them.
I like to add also that there is a difference between the use of the symbol inside the political arena in Israel that been harnessed in order to serve certain purpose that had nothing to do with the hostages. And then it was making a face of caring about the hostages without caring for them. And the real care for the hostages, which is a totally different issue. And this is why I agree that when you take it outside, it symbolizes a good signal. When you take it inside, it symbolizes the pressure in order to cave in. And this is the difference. We are all for doing whatever we can in order to release and to save the hostages, as long as we are not putting online our future. And the story of Gilad Shalit, so-called deal, there is no deals with terrorists, because the concept of using the word deal with terrorists within the Israeli politics, it's wrong, because deal assume that you have two sides that have rights and are honorable and they will oblige by their commitment and they have values to trade. There is nothing to trade with terrorists. So we should do whatever we can do in order to save hostages while winning. And so far, it was getting close to this direction. So in this respect, I think that we didn't do so bad. We didn't cave in, we didn't stop, we didn't pull back. We're still keeping Gaza. Hopefully, we can continue. And may I add a little sentence about the clash between mystic view of the world and rational scientific view of the world. You can hold one of them, not both of them. If you're trying to explain the world in a mystical terms, you are actually destroying the ability to develop a rational explanation. And the basic difference between a rational person and mystical person is the rational person take what he knows in order to know more, to reveal more information about the world. And mystical person take what he doesn't know and trying to destroy what we know and invent new explanation to what we know. And by that, actually destroying the human mind.
Yeah. One last thing.
Yeah, very, very brief point is watching this this hostage deal sort of unfold from the U.S. I had the same reaction you did about seeing people come together over wanting to get the hostages back. I found that very moving. And yet at the same time is, if you can get the hostages back through a deal, make the deal and then screw them. You know, you don't have any obligation to Hamas. Are you joking? It's like, oh, let's make a deal with ISIS. If I make a deal with Boaz, I have a deal. I honor the deal. If you make a deal with ISIS so you can get your kids back, get them back and then kill them. Like there's no, it's not like you're buying a car. Yeah. No. I'm not saying that it's simple. I'm not talking about from a tactical perspective. But I'm just saying the abstract point is you don't owe them because you made a deal with the mafia. It's like, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't see that.
On this positive note.
You don't do a deal with Hamas. You do a deal with the government, Egypt, Qatar, and you give your word to them. You don't want to fight, not with Hamas. And then if you say to Egypt or other countries, you're stopping something, you have agreement, and then you do something different.
So what do you owe Qatar? Why do you owe honor to Qatar? Sorry, why do you owe honor to Qatar? Because they gave so the same should apply to them.
Why? Because it's very simple. Because of the person named Donald Trump. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
So
all. We don't have nothing with Qatar. We have something with Donald Trump. That's all.
I think the message that came from here is that our perspective is that you think about those very complicated issues in a rational way, and those complicated issues have complicated solutions. There's a whole book written here. There's other books, Objectivists, and a lot of things that we wrote about policy and conflicts and how to win wars and so on. Okay, so with this, I think we're running out of time. We'll take the opportunity to say a big thank you for everyone that came. I want to thank Boaz for hosting us and making all of that possible. I want to thank all the volunteers that made it possible, and I want to give the last word to ER, who is the reason why we're all here.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for making this happen. Life is an amazing thing. You have really great things ahead of you, and it's going to be very rewarding, but it's up to you. Don't blame anyone else, including those wrongdoers. It's up to you. You have your own mind to use. You better use it right for your own sake. And that's all I have to say. I'm really happy you came here. I'm really happy we've had this convention. It's been a great experience. I've had a great time running around here, making sure everything works. It was hard and fun. And thank you all for coming. And I apologize. We couldn't have the Green Priest. We don't know what happened. We don't know why he didn't show up. And I really apologize personally. And
We will try to, if it happens, we'll try to broadcast it on YouTube and send you all the interview.
But to end on a good note, once again, I'm really happy you came here, really happy we had the opportunity to discuss all of those important matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much.